Hey guys, so we're going to continue on the conversation. We're going to go on to number two, but we're going to show our name tags for everybody. Awesome, awesome. All right, so number two is describe biggest mistakes made by entrepreneurs, why they make them, and what they should do to prevent these mistakes. And we have a couple suggestions to prevent these common mistakes. For me, originally, a lot of things, one of the other biggest things is not knowing what type of resources are available. I think that was one of the big issues that we had when we started out the business before, and it kind of it took the time frame of getting started. In hindsight, we were about a year in before we realized all these like different resources that cities and governments and that they had for us, but we never really understood what resources were. So that's one of the biggest mistakes, is not doing the homework on the resources page. And that's one of the ones that I would definitely say is a common mistake. As we found out, as we networked a lot more, people were like, there's so many resources out there, like programs, discounts, and even, tax discounts as well. So trying to find out your resources, I think, is a common mistake that, entrepreneurs have.
I think for me, time is just so valuable in everything that we do, not only in our business lives, but in our personal lives as well. And I think that to develop that comfort level, knowing that we've got a good team at hand and a team that's responsive and thorough and accountable, really kind of allows us to put the vision ahead of the functions that need to be done. And it puts everything kind of into perspective to let everyone on deck be a part of it and work towards that goal of success, as opposed to, taking on everything and feeling that burden. And sometimes it's hard to release that, but, I think that there's comfort in knowing when you have a good team and being an entrepreneur.
And building on that, it's especially when it comes to teams, is making sure that you've established a proper structure so that everyone on your team knows exactly what their functionality is, and they stay within that function and make sure that they can I don't know, kind of just make sure they understand what they're doing and they don't overstep on other people's toes. And they're also able to work collectively as a team to make it run like a well-oiled machine. I know when I originally started one of my first businesses, I had a team where it was just hard to pinpoint their exact position because everyone kind of wanted to be the creative, whereas we always needed those people who were um, the kind of for money management, or somebody who was more technologically driven to kind of stay within those departments so that we as a team kind of collectively scale instead of kind of staying stagnant because we all wanted to do kind of the same type of work. You know what I mean?
I think that's a great point.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, the biggest mistake, I know for me personally, is trusting. So my business is my baby. This is something that I started from scratch, and just trusting other people to really do their jobs. One, trusting people that I hired, just trusting people just in general with my baby, trusting them with my idea, trusting anything to deal with trust. I always double back and kind of question their abilities, which if you're working with other entrepreneurs who are really good at their job, it could be really difficult and they don't want to work for you, or, they have to have a side conversation. So for me, it's learning to trust people with my ideas and learning to trust people with my vision and learning to trust that they can execute what I asked them to do. And so that's really the biggest thing for me. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, because I'm the owner of a bookkeeping business. And so I've had people to question me and question my ability. And, they're just like, I'm scared about my finances. And so I have to go over things. And I know it's just a big trust issue. So.
That's understandable.
I think John, you're on mute.
How about now?
We can hear you.
Okay. I think for me, one of the biggest things is the time and in the lean startup where he's talking about your minimum viable product is you want to go to market just as quick as possible
Mm.
so that you can test the marketplace and not waste time, not, use time building a product no one wants or is too elaborate, or you build features into it that no one is going to use in the first place. So being able to marshal that resource of time and focusing on what is most important at that time for that day, I think is one of the hardest things for entrepreneurs to realize. Yeah, you got a product, but do you have a customer to buy it? So
Yeah.
that would be mine.
I think
And I
that's
have to say, it's one of the things that I really appreciate about reading this book, because it gives an entirely different perspective about going to market a little bit more quickly, and not wasting that time. So,
Mhm.
and testing your audience a little more quickly as well. So I have to say that I really appreciate being able to read this book and have that perspective of how to do it differently and perhaps more efficiently, especially on the smaller scope.